Meng Jiao, Song of a Traveling Sun. Thread in the hand of a loving mother, a coat her son will wear far away. He is leaving soon. Her stitches grow smaller and smaller. Her heart sick that he must leave so soon, be gone so long. How can a 1-inch blade of grass repay the kindness of 3 long months of spring? So here we have the second and last poem of Meng Jiao in the anthology. Like the previous one, it is a pentasyllabic juefu, so a ballad-style poem. And like the previous one, this is a short song. It's only 3 couplets long. And it's placed, maybe it's not placed in the voice of a female persona, but it is clearly focused through a female persona. If in the previous poem this was a virtuous woman, a virtuous widow, here it is a virtuous mother. In spite of the title of the poem, we get the feeling that the traveling son is not really the protagonist or the main figure in this poem. It's the mother that is laboring for him, that loves him, that misses him, or that will miss him, the one that really takes center stage. So what's the main topic of this poem? Very easy. It's basically Jiao, which is a Chinese word for filial piety. Now, Jiao was a very, very, very important virtue in pre-modern China. It's part of the Confucian ideology that governed China during the imperial age, and this was an aspect of Confucianism that was further underscored by the emperors because of the political advantages they could get out of it. So filial piety, remember when we talk about Confucianism, there are 5 big relationships, and one of them is the relationship of parents and son. And parents are revered massively in traditional Chinese society as the givers of life, as the people who deserve everything, and as the people who one can never be grateful and generous enough towards. So if you read the imperial histories, many civil servants were chosen before there were examinations because they had shown that they were filial. In fact, in the Han Dynasty, being named filial and uncorrupt by your neighbors could open access towards prestige and positions in the civil government. And this led, of course, to some hypocrisy, but also to some very extreme examples of filial piety, of love and defense and protection of one's parents. Famously, in the Analects, Confucius scolds a disciple in very harsh terms when they're discussing how much mourning, how much time should one spend mourning for one's parents. And in traditional Chinese culture, it was 3 years. And one of Confucius' disciples says, wouldn't 1 year be enough? And Confucius does not agree at all with this. And he says, your parents looked after you completely during 3 years. Not wanting to pay back your parents like that shows that you are an animal, or worse than an animal. So this song is about the good mother and the filial piety that should be given to such a person. Let's go couplet by couplet. So the first couplet: thread in the hand of a loving mother, a coat her son will wear far away. So the mother starts the poem in the focus. She is threading, the main job of a woman in a traditional Chinese household was making clothes. That was the greatest sphere of, she also had to supervise the house, prepare meals, and that sort of thing. But in poetry, the main image of the working woman at home is the woman who is making clothing. So here we have a good mother, and she's preparing a coat for her son. Her son has to go away, so it's a coat that will protect him, that he will wear when he is very far away from home. Doing what? That is not specified in the poem. So the next couplet: he is leaving soon. Her stitches grow smaller and smaller. Her heart sick that he must leave so soon, be gone so long. So we still get no explanation about why the son has to go, but we know it's imminent, and we know that the mother is suffering bitterly because of that. her stitches grow smaller and smaller. Is it because she is finishing the job and now she's doing the minor stitching? Or is it because she loathes the situation of her son parting, and finishing the stitching in a way seems to remind her of the imminent departure of her son? I think both could be possible. Yeah? The woman really, really suffers because of her son's absence, or is already suffering before he goes. He must leave so soon, be gone so long, so soon, so long. The intensity of the distance and of the time that is presumed that the son will be away. Finally, in the last couplet, we get a return, not a return because it's really the first time the focus is on him. We get the son. We get what could be probably the thoughts of the son instead of the thoughts of the mother. How can a 1-inch blade of grass repay the kindness of 3 long months of spring? So this was a quite popular poem. It was used a lot to illustrate the topic of filial piety, and this image really illuminates, this metaphor really illuminates the abyss between the intensity, the protectiveness of a mother or a parent, but well, of parents' love, and how impossible it is to requite it. So here, whatever the son can do to pay back this amount of disinterested love that a parent shows is equated to a tiny inch blade of grass trying to repay the kindness of 3 long months of spring. So the nurturing, the love, the protection of the family is like a whole spring season, whereas the individual is just a tiny blade of grass. Remember, spring in Chinese correlative thought is equated with nurturing, protection, with flourishing, with love, with birth. So with the things that a parent does for a child. So, interesting poem. I believe that Meng Jiao wrote this poem at about the time that he was either going to look after his mother or that his mother died. So, it's not just, we could say it's probably not just an exercise in developing a formal topic or even, just an ideological formulation. It's probably something deeply felt, how a son feels that he will never be able to repay the gratitude of his parents. And even though we do not live in a Confucian society, this is, from my point of view, this is a very eternal and still binding message. Parents are everything for their children. Now that I have a child of my own, I can appreciate what it means to really love disinterestedly another person and be ready to do anything and everything for him or her. And you're never able to repay your parents' love, which is the only unrestricted and unconditional love you will probably receive in your life. So any show of gratefulness, and of care, and of love, and of caring is always good and always necessary.